आपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरूणामाकृतिं स्मरेतेन विघ्नप्रणश्यन्ति सिद्ध्यन्ति च मनोरथः लक्ष्मीतनूतु नितरामितरानपेक्षममृत्वयं निग्मशाकिखाप्रवालं हैरम्बमम्बुर्हडम्बरचौर्यनिग्रहं विघ्नाद्रिभेदशतधारध्वरन्धरः सर्वेषां स्वागतम्. This is the positive psychology session for the 15th shloka. So, in the 15th shloka, what we see is there is an expansion on that virodha abhasa of jnana and karma, and that expands. Vidya gatahang kratitah prasidhyate. This was the last statement of 14th shloka. Why it expands? So that jnana, which has been attained through Vishuddha Vijnana Virochananchita. So that leads to the ultimate Atma Vritti, that is realization of the true ultimate knowledge. And that it makes us, it rise above the karma karakas, and it also destroys the karma karakas. This was what was said in the 15th shloka. So in the 15th shloka, the element of positive psychology that we need to understand is understanding the karmas itself. Why are we doing it? What are we actually able to realize from it? So this happens through a process of contemplation. Now, contemplation, what we are trying to understand is it refers to the intentional. It is intentional and mindful focus on one's own thoughts, one's own feelings, one's own experiences, that we need to cultivate a deeper understanding. Now, why are we doing this? In terms of the shloka or in terms of Sri Rama Gita itself, the nature of karma is misguided when the Purva Paksha Vada occurs. They are making an argument that they are, like I said, their argument is not actually bad. They are giving us the truth that karma also is mentioned in the Vedas. Jnana is also mentioned in the Vedas, but why are we not giving them equal amount of importance? And that is true. And in fact, there is a very specific mention also that they are not optional. The karmas, the kriyas, they are not optional. Vaidika kriyas are compulsory, and that they incur sin, etc., etc., etc. Now, what was the reason in which all these were written is beyond understanding. But what we can understand is that we have not, we have made it into one text, the whole of the Vedas, and we are taking every element of that at a similar point of time. Importance is given to karmas, importance is given to jnana. Why are we combining that and saying both of them have to be given importance at the same time? There are different phases, there are different levels, elevation of spirituality. So obviously, as per those levels of spirituality that we attain, our priority changes. And therefore, it is not necessary that at the phase where karma is important, that I have to give importance to jnana, or the other way around. So this needs to be understood. And when they make an argument that karma and jnana are complementary, they are forgetting the most important thing, that jnana actually leads to vidya, whereas karma actually leads to avidya, that is ignorance, where I become blissfully ignorant about the true knowledge, about the true nature of self, and I start indulging in all the karmas of samsara, where I get caught up with that. I don't have any way of getting escaping that. I keep doing it. I become so busy with it. It has happened many a times where we have decided on a resolution, maybe a New Year's resolution or something like that. We are going to do it daily. And then what happens is we start getting busy with our routinely life that we actually forget that we have made a resolution. That is the reason there are certain rules that has been, even when we are trying to build a better lifestyle, there is there are these tips that help us out. Like, for example, always make sure that you start something with the end in mind. This comes in Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. A very nice book that that shows that we have to always keep the end in mind. That means goal oriented thinking. This is also a part of resilience. Resilience is a little broad than what we have explained. This is also a goal oriented thinking. So we should always make sure that we understand this goal oriented thinking is actually reflected where when Lakshmana asked the questions that I want to cross the ocean of ignorance, shoreless ocean of ignorance, I want to cross that, that being the only answer that he wants, not other things. So he is very clear where he wants to land, where he needs to reach. So this goal-oriented thinking is also a part of resilience. But for all these things, we need contemplation. Why we need these? Why we need this contemplation? First, the nature of karma itself, we are not able to realize. That means when we are making the when the Purvapakshavada is making this, they are not able to realize the fact that we have virodha. Jnana and karma have two different phalas. One leads to Dvaita, the other one leads to Advaita. Jnana leads to Advaita. And karma is going towards Dvaita. So here, without understanding that nature of what we are doing, why we are doing, what is our goal, it becomes difficult for us to introspect. Therefore, contemplation is very important. So here, the concept of positive psychology is contemplation. And here, contemplation with respect to uh, the shloka is that we are realizing that the nature of karma is actually opposite to that of the jnana. There, when the argument of um, jnana karma samuchaya happens, that is also valid. That is also valid. That again, Rama has not denied it. He is not saying no. What you have said is wrong. He says you have used the logic in a wrong manner, and he is explaining what is the true logic. So this is important to understand. Now, instead of denying what he's doing, he's going deeper into the same argument. They said they are mentioned in the same source, therefore they should be able to. We should give them the same weightage and etc. etc. Now he's explaining that why that is erroneous. Where is the error happening? Where is the logic getting screwed up? So he is able to do that through the process of contemplation, through the process of thinking about it. When the Purva Paksha Vada is, that is the reason I said the whole process of Nyaya, the whole process of bringing about an argument is not that I just have to deny the argument or I just have to reject the argument. No, it is a process. That process includes that I need to paraphrase, I need to restate the objection, paraphrase it, understand it, and then use the same logic to justify my stance. If I use something else, then there won't be any connection. I cannot compare them. I'm using the example of uh, uh, rope and a snake. They are using the example of a ghata and pata. It is not possible for me to do that. The uniformity in argument will not be there. I need to think about their own line of argument and then try to justify my argument through their examples. This is important. And this is only possible when I contemplate on a certain thought. And what are the importance of this? The focus, the contemplation requires intentional focus. Intentional focus, I am in particular, they say soul searching. So it only at a certain point of time where where we face any kind of trouble, where we face any kind of existential crisis. That is what is happening. Only at that point of time, we go into contemplation. So only at those inflection points, that is where contemplation happens. And it is very much intentional. We don't have an answer in mind, but then our intention is to get an answer out of it. Therefore, it is intentional focus. And I'm purposefully directing that attention inward to explore my thought. It is forceful. It is forceful. But then it is forceful only because I don't do it every day. It is not against will. I have already decided that I have to do it because the situation has invoked such a such a way, it has come out in such a way where there is a need for me to contemplate to get the answer, and therefore I have to do it. It is only a little forceful because I don't do it every day. Therefore, it requires extra effort, but it is not against will. And that leads to being fully present, fully engaged in the reflective process, reflecting on what I did, why I did it, why is it necessary, what am I going to do about it. And there cannot be any kind of judgment associated with this. Even if it is negative, I have to accept it. Even if it is something that it's if even if it is the contemplation about something that that is in general or that has to happen. Past kriyas, obviously, we will have to accept it because there is no way of changing the consequences. But even when we contemplate on something that needs to be then we need to, when we arrive at a conclusion, that has to be accepted without judgment. Only when we accept it, we'll be able to remedy it if needed. Therefore, that is important. And this involves a lot of self-awareness. When we're saying self-awareness, it is not just a question of, okay, I'm aware that I'm thinking, I'm aware that I'm breathing. No, that is not self-awareness. Self-awareness being analyzing personal growth. What am I in nature? Am I in nature very emotional, stable? And what is that coming out of? Why did I suddenly change? If there is a change, do I need to change? All these questions needs to be understood. That brings about self-awareness. And these have to always target, because we are looking at positive psychology. These have to be centered towards reaching a result, a state of self where it leads to positive growth. I cannot be critical. I can criticize attitudes, but I cannot be critical where I need to change myself. We realize something is wrong and we need to change ourselves. But being critical about it does not help. Recognizing it will help. Therefore, self-awareness and then ultimately positive orientation. These are some of the ways, the key aspects of contemplation. And this, it goes on, it further goes on. The 16th shloka also continues with this. So, how we are able to do it is through a process of contemplation. So, that is important. And how do we do this contemplation? Why is it important for contemplation? All these things are also a part of it, because the 16th shloka is very methodical, because Rama is giving the method in which the karma tyaga has to happen. No, so contemplation also has a method. How do we do that? All those things. So with that, we will see it in the next session. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषा को ब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।